Alright, today I'm going to start doing a series showcasing what Dominions Enhanced adds to the game exactly. Because I see a lot of commentary on it, but I haven't seen any videos of it. Now, I haven't gone out of my way to check, mind you, but people like Attica, Lucid, General Confusion, shoutouts to all of them, have watched a lot of their tutorials, enjoyed them greatly. They've helped me get some more insight that 400 hours in this game hasn't given me. That's not an exaggeration of my hours or the fact that they do actually genuinely help me, as do the in between turns and start menu notices. Um, Now I'm going to be doing two nations at a time because, like everything, there's a lot to cover even when you're just going on. Here's what they've added. Here's what's new. The debug mod and visible sites are for just simplifying the process. I have a default Bandar Ys campaign with just the setup that I'm going to be putting side by side for comparison with the Dominions Enhanced stuff. But the reason I'm starting out here for right now is because if we look at, create a pretender god, we'll go to Bandar because that's one of the two we're doing. This is the standard setup. Nothing crazy here, nothing out of the ordinary. You've played, you're used to this. It's the same culture setup for this that it's always been. And this is the list when you have Dominions Enhanced up. As you can see, there's just a few more options here. They also have, as I'm sure you've noticed just by me hovering over it, move some things around and repoint balance. So the Maharishi, instead of being 60 points, is now 100 at its discount. The Chiranjeevi, apologies in advance if I'm mispronouncing that, is now 130 points. And a Dominion 2 Awake Expander instead of a Dominion 1 Rainbow. Not much else has changed. It also gives every single pretender chassis recuperation and disease resistance, so they'll never die to disease, and they'll eventually get over afflictions. But again, this is the new Indian, I want to say, because this one doesn't have the it has some of the Chinese ones, like it has the Dharmpala of the underworld, but it doesn't have, the Jade Emperor or the commies, none of that stuff. So all you have is the Indian set culturally. They also had a bunch more, like now there's a Great Siddha, the Monkey King, this Makarta Master, which is basically a themed Freak Lord in setup, which is why incidentally they don't have the Freak Lord. Excuse me. This Dominion Monster Summoner is a Makarta spam. And occasionally giant Makartas like the one he's riding. Or however you actually pronounce it. Markata. But still. But yeah, so there's a lot more gods for every nation. A lot more god chassis, I should say. And then there's a lot more of some other stuff too that we'll get into when I actually have the campaign up. So we're going to take a quick pause, and I'm actually going to go set up the Dominions Enhanced game for the side-by-side demonstration. I've actually pulled this back up for the creation of the game because it occurs to me I haven't shown off the new list for Ys. I'm not going to show the old lists, I don't think. Well, let me know in the comments, actually, after this one, if you want to see the original lists, but I'm not going to show the original list for Ys, I don't think. I'm just going to leave it as the new list. And I'm not going to go through chassis too much. I'll cover some of them, like the fact that they make it so... They try to make it so even the old chassis get reworked, and that stuff. But they also try to make a point of making the different tiers unique. Like one's Research Rainbow, I think they actually gave him research buffs, but I could be wrong on that. But everything has some gimmick. You know, Stone Magus has Mason, like, has Supply, and Forest Survival, and Farcaster. And then one thing they have done is, the biggest one that I'm aware of at least, is the Dominion 3s now manifest some gems for spellcasting. I still don't use them too much, so I don't know precisely how many. And I'm also overprotective with my gods, so I really don't use them much. But they've also upped their base paths, it looks like. But yeah, all the Titan chassis get, I'm pretty sure at least, that aren't Trinities possibly. This is a new one, a level 3, Dominion 3 Trinity. That's a thing. But all these, it's, you know, a lot of them that aren't. Yeah, okay, so that's 2 Trinities. But those that aren't, I'm pretty sure, yeah, manifest whatever their startings they get. I don't know how many gems it is, as I just said, but they get gems for that. Also some affliction resistance and siege resistance in addition. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Yeah, some of them like gem generator, Spirit of the Well, Oracle. You know, nothing too crazy in here. But yeah, with that in mind, I think they've also buffed that, because I don't think. Yeah, actually, I know for a fact that they didn't have an extra astral point. I should actually probably start here then. Because, yeah, they do note some things, like these guys get an extra astral bless point in this. Sometimes they note, sometimes they don't. They don't get that point in base. So I guess I should cover that for everyone. But yeah, we're gonna break for a moment while I finish setting this up, and we'll come back for Yiz, because the actual setup here, they don't add new bless effects, but they do add new priest spells. I'll cover this a bit more once I'm in a game, but the biggest thing to note is this Channel Divine Starfire right now. If I went Earth, it'd be Channel Divine Blades. Basically, it gives you an incentive and a buff for and Prayer of the Void, Prayer of Earth. But it gives you an incentive to check if you have Mage Priests, which Banderlog doesn't, so this isn't going to be an issue here. But basically, it gives excuse me, even low-level priests, so long as they're mage priests, a way to cast combat spells with this setup. Again, I'll demonstrate that more as we get in. But for now, I'm going to finish setting this up, and I will see you guys over at Yiz. Alright, and we're back for Yiz. So, you know, your standard cut. Nothing really has changed too much in the unit line. You still have your Morbarks. They may actually have upped the recruitment and resource points. I'd have to check that after this to confirm or deny that. But you've got your standards. You know, nothing's crazy on the unit line for this one. No change to bless points. And then we have the updated list. Now, Sage of the Sea, Inspiring Researcher, that's an Awake Expander, Astral in Nature. I'm pretty sure the Mermaid Enchantress is new, but I could be wrong about that. You know, Island Crab, Great Water Lizard. Yeah, it's just the bigger list. So we are going to go with the Morgan High Queen, though. Now, one thing, we'll cover a lot more in a bit, but for now, I just want to demonstrate this. So, for example, Yiz, base game, no national spells whatsoever. This is also another way to demonstrate, too. And so, oh, they actually have moved some of it. Okay. Yeah, so they moved some of the national spells over. But it has no national spells in the base. But it's got Contact Melusine here, access to the Monster Boar. It's entirely possible that those already existed for, like, Iru. That's actually probably what it is. They existed for the Iru Tir Nanog. And then, since they're lore-wise so close together, Dominions Enhanced just gave them access to it. But you also have... And then this is just a good demonstration, too. So, the debug mod moves everything as it stands into level 0, so you don't have to... So you can mess around with spells without having to worry about research. Obviously, since it's doing that for the base spells, it does not know about Dominions Enhanced spells. So all these extra spells here from Dominions Enhanced, you know, look at all these whites. That's a lot of spells that everyone has access to that's new from this. You know, and a lot of them are things like, let me see if I have one right now. Yeah, like Invoke the Horned One. That's a god chassis. Like the ability to summon god chassis, to do things like Samhain, extra magic worldwide, Autumn, Simon Gate will appear in the capital, which gives conjuration and enchantment bonuses. OC will show up, which are creating unrest, but they're elves, so, you know, goes both ways there. And then if cast by Mavarni, you know, Mavarni, early age Mavarni gets this, generates 3 to 18 blood slaves a month. I don't know what causes what, but yeah, you also have, you know, you have these Swan Knights. I will absolutely demonstrate them. They're land only though, so you have to get on land to use them. This is actually most important because it gives you some things to handle, like with this here, Parius, province. It basically gives you a land capital, which unlocks basically, you don't get your Morvarks there, but you do get the Swan Knights there. We'll cover what all that is once we're in game and set up. But yeah, you get more nationals. Everyone gets more spells in general. These ones I'm actually going to cover right now because I'll touch on them every time I hit a nation that this applies to, but this Word of Drowning, Curse of Choking Brine stuff is basically the exact same as Sailor's Death, I'm pretty sure. Let's actually pull it up. Water. So Sailor's Death, range 30, an AoE 1 drown spell. Doesn't affect water breathers, undead, blah, blah, blah. Word of Drowning, area effect 1, bit less damage, bit more fatigue, it looks like, yeah. Which, for obvious reasons, can't be cast underwater because it doesn't affect water breathers. So it would just be a wasted spell otherwise. Bit lower range, bit more fatigue. Same AoE, bit less damage. But the reason is now, Curse of Choking Brine, back to that damage, AoE 4 plus, still that lower range, but then higher fatigue again. So you have all underwater nations, and then this, it's the entire battlefield. And I don't know if this is a continual or not, because again, I'm hyper protective of my gods, so I don't really use them as combat casters. That said, if a Oceania might be able to pull this off natively with its Capricorns, but I'd have to. We'll get into that when I pull that up. But you know, new global enchantments, new everything. Which basically gives certain setups more bonuses, more negatives. Basically, it gives every setup a way to do every other setup stuff, which is a complaint I hear a lot. And I'll cover it, but basically it gives, like, you know, say this is a wild example because, you know, there's a million things in this game and I could be missing some, but say water didn't have a good thug option before now. Well, now you can. Like, it will give water access to something like that. You don't have a good spam option, although you kind of do, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to pretend for a minute, okay, that we don't have a good spam option here. Gives you spam spells. Gives you more gear, more forging, more everything, so that you can meet people with it. Like, you know, Warriors of the Sea gives, basically it's a area buff liquid body. Crap like that. Acid Seas, if you don't want to deal with underwater nations, if they're too much of a problem. Like, they give you more tools in your toolbox, basically. Find it ironic, though, that that spell exists, because basically only underwater nations are really going to get native access to this spell. Like, maybe buff. Well, Jotunheim wouldn't get the fire for it. I can't think of one offhand that would have access to it. Like, the first nation I think of when I see those paths is Pelagia, one of the most underwater factions, and so the one who absolutely doesn't want this cast. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I should cover that more when we're covering those nations. So I'm going to finish setting this up. Just, I like having that set at bare minimum, and scales are kind of necessary because more of arcs are kind of really expensive. But yeah, I'll see you guys in game. I'm probably going to skip to the point where I'm throwing stuff around to do more demonstrations. I will see you then. Okay, I was going to hold off a bit longer, wait until I had some debug senseis up and demonstrated like some of the spell abilities after researching up and covering forging and whatnot. But a quick aside, they actually also changed starting armies. Dominions Enhanced does, I've noticed, right now. In the base game, your starting Bandar Commander is still a Bandar Commander. That part hasn't changed. But you get a bunch of Makardas and the I call them tribal monkeys because they're recruit any forest monkeys, but the Atavi infantry of this kind. Whereas with this, your starting army is actually the Vanara swordsmen and Atavi archers. So your archers aren't undisciplined. The lack of point buffing opportunity is a lot less of an issue when you remember that you don't have research at this point. That looks uneven, and it's going to bother the heck out of me. Is this one too high? No. Oh well. But yeah, so they do change the starting armies. I'd have to go back and well, I can't double check now. I already started that game. I was gonna say double back and check the base Ys to see, but this one the difference was big enough that it just immediately popped out to me and I noticed it. So I actually will come back several turns in the future to cover a side-by-side comparison. Here's the map, by the way. I imagine Ys is like in here. Obviously, they're a water nation. Like, they could be up here, but this is a very acknowledging that Ys does not want to be in the water map, which is nice. But yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit once I've done a bit of expansion, got some debug senseis up for both sides, and can demonstrate the differences that forging has, the differences in forging. Actually, no, I'll stop at a couple turns just to demonstrate one of the things that debug did so we're clear. Well, what debug does is it moves, like all the spells are at level 0, it also moves all the forging to level 0 as well, so you don't need to research for that. Once again, like the new Dominion Enhanced spells, Dominion Enhanced items, and yes, it did add items, are not affected by that. So if I went to go forging right now with, say, say I wanted to, one of these randoms water, I could forge Frostbrands right now at level 0. Well, it's level 1, but that's not enough for the magic items, so it's fine. But, yeah. So anyway, I'll see you in a few turns. Alright, we're here for, excuse me, actually, a real quick interlude. One of the other things Dominion Enhanced does do is it adds some heroes for some factions. Not necessarily for every, I don't think, but it does add them in some cases. Case in point, we have this, she just showed up this turn, so I figured I'd cut it. Ahisa the Swan Herald, she's a spell singer, elf, 2 air, 2 water, only 40 leadership, which is kind of a bummer. Magic leadership 20, but I think that's because I have Arcane Command on this. Bless. Actually, no, not on this one. No. So, yeah. But she is part of the new things they've added. Namely, as the Swan Herald thing in hands. You read the description. Part of the royal family, but ran away. And then she ended up befriending an ancient Fey Swan. Found the courage to return. She's going to actually prove herself now. And she is the leader of the Swan Knights. So right now she doesn't have it. This is her underwater form. She has an above water form, which we will be demonstrating next turn. Did I already do Bandar Ys? Yes, I did. So we'll actually double. Yeah, suddenly he's the Swan Herald has appeared at your gates. Castle of Bronze and Crystal. And so we'll actually let them take their turn first next. And going to go ahead and hit host, let everything run. Excellent expansion. Yeah, just doing the contact debug senseis for fast research and gems so I can spam stuff. But yes, this is her above ground form. Still that same crap leadership, still that same magic leadership, same paths, except now she's on a giant swan. Swans only have the Swan Beak attack. They are not like your Morvarks that get entire AoE fire. But while above, she is also a Dominion monster summoner. Depending on how your Dominion is, has a chance to summon Swan Knights. The exact same ones you get from the level 4 Conjuration spell at 1 per 4 air gems. So she'll save you a lot of air gems over time. Just by virtue of how that works. We'll go a bit more into the Swan Knights, show the stat lines and everything when I actually have that set up. And we're also going to want to found Bandar Ys somewhere, probably here. Because it's got a good cap circle, and it's the only way to make an inland fort useful. I'd have to double check with the base game, but I think this is the same regardless, where all this stuff is only in coastal. It's basically a check on the underwater nations. So even if they have land units, quote unquote, you can only get them from coastal forts. So if I built a fort here, I could get the Kirno stuff. If I built it here, I could get it. If I built it here, I could not. No nationals. I'd only get whatever independents are there. Which could still be useful if there's, a good magic site there. I don't have one to demonstrate what I mean by good magic site, but like things that give you good indie mages, something like that. That'd be a worthwhile inner fort, but if you're looking for national units, don't go inland. Stick to the coasts, which fortunately this map gen really helped Ys out here. Bandar Ys over here, by the way, for comparison. And then this entire side of the map is all coastal. So that's nice. Not really that great, because again, Ys is incredibly cap dependent. Your Morvarks and all of your Morgan stuff are couriers only. So normally, I use Morgan Princesses for expansion, honestly. Yeah, they take 4 turns, whereas these only take 2. but they actually have two air, meaning they can mist form and lightning bolt. Okay, so they do. They are all spell singers in this one. I guess one of my other mods must have been messing with that. Because only the chassis were the last time I had checked. The god chassis had spell singer and her, the hero. The reason that's actually relevant is, let me actually see if I can find it. Is it? Maybe it's under enchantment. Yes. Is that now, there are air magic spells now. There's a lot of air magic spells. Spell singing spells, excuse me. So there is a bunch, stuff. You also have, at air 3, granted, but, you know, wide range false fetters, fake confusion on the entire battlefield. Doesn't affect us though. For really high level stuff. Again, the big thing is going to be founding Paryas. We'll get to that when my god shows up. And again, I think we're going to set it up there. But yeah, that was just a quick aside for Ahisa, and see you in several more turns. Alright, since we've reached a decent construction set, I can go over some things that it adds in terms of forging. So, you have all your base stuff up here. And this is where they start talking about, you know, it lets everyone do the same thing. So, like, you know, for example, take Firebrands. You know, Firebrand's your standard thug weapon for the AoE fire damage. Good morale, fire resistance, cold resistance on the frostband with the AoE cold. If you had fire and earth now, I remember when it used to be just fire. You can make that, and if you have water, you can make that. And of course, if you have Death and Earth, you can make Shadowbrands. Higher up on the list. Now, let's say you don't have those sets. Let's say maybe you have Fire and Death, though. Well, you're in luck, because Dominions Enhanced adds this, which gives Fear instead of a cold or heat resistance, and it does AoE decay instead of a fire or cold attack. So not necessarily as good in the sense that it does more base damage, but that AoE doesn't do damage, it just hurts. Well, it just causes decay, so it'll kill them later. Let's say you have air and earth. Well, you can make thunder hammers, which don't actually give you shock resistance, though, so you might want to bring something with that. But if you have air, you have shock resistance, just a ring or something. And it does not only that AoE 1, a little bit of armor negating lightning damage, but it does an AoE 6, 1 damage, large area shock. So it gives more options to more types of people, as well as other things like Wand of Insects. Congratulations, you can spam insects with it. Sort of like mini swarm forever. If your guy's not using anything, why not? The Serpent Staff, which I think Katis always has, now it's available for everyone. Yeah, things like this Staff of Gaia is a enhanced item, apparently. Love it. It's great for Bandar Ys specifically, as we'll cover, because it's not fixed to them, obviously, since I'm looking at this as he is, but it casts the Primal Power spell, which all friendly animals on the field get +4 strength. You can just hand this to your commanders as Bandar Ys, and it'll buff your entire line, because all your units count as animals. I don't know if that's base or not, actually, on reflection, but Staff of the Sea gives you sailing. You know, it's things like that. The Vine Bow, I thought the Vine Bow was base. I'd have to check that, but maybe they adjusted it. Could be, cause yeah, I could have sworn some of these are base game. We'll have to look at it, but it gives you stuff like, you know, Muttering Shield, Air and Death for confusion, as an AoE 10 around your guy. So you're not just, golly, I hope I have nature for Vine Shields. You know, or, you know, charcoal shields for fire shield, you know. If fire and air gives you fascinating lights, which does stun. It's a stun shield that just pops regularly. Soft earth casts earth grip around your guy. You know, there's more options, and that's, you know, water and earth. Water and earth, fire and air, like air and death. So, you know, like if you have different combos, or if you just have water, you go slime shields, which basically makes you a slimer with all the fun stuff that goes with that. You know, it gives more options, like helmet of acid breath that casts acid spray. But the wearer may also be hit with it if they're not careful. But at least you have magic gear, so you won't be that affected. Hey, I heard you need Void, Sanity, and Magic Grease. We got you. So you're not just stuck with a Crown of Lead. Yeah, it's basically a better version that's Astral, too, instead of just Earth 1. Crown of Bones, if you just really need to carry a shit ton of undead, does make you -1 inspirational, though. Creepy ass crap like the Crown of Eyes to give you Spirit Sight if you have Air and Astral. Barbed Coat. Now you too can have poison barbs. Cloud Curious. Mist Form at the start of battle and Storm Power. And that only costs the same levels as if you were casting Mist Form. Now you can give it to the people who couldn't cast it. Mirage Suit. Give glamour to everyone, and fire shield, but lower protection than other armors. I could mention cough cough armor of knights, cough cough. Things like that. Hydra skin armor, give yourself some more poisoneries and regen. But it also does things like Morgan Crystal. This is a new item. Makes it perceived army size -25% and gives the commander water breathing. Well, 25 units, excuse me. But it's not just, let me put it that way, it's not just like, here's new stuff for everyone. That's interesting. But, and things like Amulet of Health, Reinvig, hit points, and affliction resistance. So you can proper kit your thugs, or, you know, compensate if you don't have a fantastic thug chassis. You know, Ring of the Victor, attack, defense, and hit points. Granted, you wouldn't want to stack those. You'd want to go one in a Ring of Regen, but that's just me. Well, Brimstone Boots gives you extra strength, fire resistance, and waste survival. There's more later down. Horror Plate, give you fear if you're blood and astral. You know, the horror paths. But okay, why is Black Steel full plate up here? I guess if they adjusted stuff on it, it'll show up here too. So maybe I should just be doing a closer side-by-side comparison, because I'm not 100% sure what is and isn't. Because I know Black Steel full plate ain't new. Yeah. It didn't look like they'd adjusted the cost or anything, though. Oh, yeah, they did. They dropped it down to 5. That's why. Because I'm pretty sure that's 10. Side-by-side comparison check. Okay, so yeah, quick adjustment. Anything that's base that shows up later down the line, like that Hydra Skin Armor, it's because they've adjusted the cost. So yeah, like Hydra Skin Armor here, it's 10 gems. Black Steel Full Plate is 10 gems. As you saw last time, it is not that. In the Dominions Enhanced, like, yeah, Vine Bow, 5, they probably dropped the cost on it. Yeah, and I know the cost of that is lower. I think it's only 20. But yeah, so they've adjusted the costs of some things, and that's. But okay, why is the Ice Helm not there here? That doesn't make sense. I know that's base regardless. Because I don't have anything that would cause extra items in this, so don't know why that's not. Is the Ice Shield? Yeah, the Ice Aegis is here. I wonder why that's not properly set. And it's not like it's restricted items, because, the Vajra because I'm on Bandar right now. Vajra and the Buffalo Helmet, which are unique, or restricted, excuse me, aren't any different. And it doesn't change. PD is the same in both. I also don't understand how the debug adjusts that as well as I thought. But this isn't a video about that. This is about what is added by Dominions Enhanced. So we're going to go ahead and keep up with that, and I will see you back in the main game. This is my vanilla one for comparison purposes. But we'll go back to the other one, and I will see you guys when I can demonstrate some more of the new stuff. Alright, we're back. We're actually Bandar Log for once. What are the new spells, which I am actually going to pop in a hot second here. That's a cap-only spell. For them, it's an enchantment on their capital. It grants Astral Mages extra Astral in the province, so long as they're in there. When they leave the province, they lose it. I'm 95% sure. Provides a 20% conjuration bonus, which is nice, because a lot of what you do is summons. Creates 5 Astral Pearls each month, which is also very nice. And allows recruitable Kinara and Gandharavas. So we're going to pop that. Kindaravas and Gandharavas are normally... Yeah, Kinaras and Gandharavas are... yeah. Their summons... The commanders are 25 Astral Gems normally. Gandharavas, 6 of them for 15, with... every 2 extra levels gives you an extra one. But that's not exactly a comparable state, so we're going to go ahead and cast that. Meanwhile, over here, I do have... He is going to construct a lab and not a fort. That's the one issue with Par Ys, which we aren't quite at yet, but we'll get there in a couple turns. Is you cannot cast it in a place that already has a fort. So you can't palisades wherever you want to slap Par Ys. Because it creates its own fort. So basically, if it reads that there's a fort there, or that the magic site Par Ys, and it does create a magic site to handle the units you now have access to, if either of those exist in that province, or just Par Ys in general, spell don't work. TLDR, spell don't work. Where is my god? And just chilling. Research. I always give them 4 Earth, 4 Astral, because that's what you need to make Rings of Wizardry at minimum. The reason being is I don't have level 6 constructions, but it should still be fine. Starshine Skullcap, the English. Crystal Coin, the 2 of them bump you up to 6, which lets you make a Ring of Sorcery, which you then jam on there. That makes you Astral 7, which then lets you create a Ring of Wizardry in all of its expensive glory. Yeah, water, air breathing, magic degrees, mother pearls, neat. Yeah, marking crystals, neat. This is a lot smaller. Like, it's wigging with me because this is a much smaller list, because this isn't that's not a debug sensei. It doesn't have all the paths, including the ones you don't normally have access to. That's why I'm going to do some of the demonstrations without that, because it's easy to get overwhelmed. But yeah, so he's building a lab in order to found Par Ys there when we hit that point in research, which probably be another turn or 2, honestly. It's not going to be this turn, but anyway, Bandar Log has cast Celestial Garden. So the Celestial Garden is there. Yep, Gandharavas with all the nice stuff that they are. They are magic, though, so, your regular commanders can't command them. And then you have your Kinaras, 40-40, 2-2-2. Oh, and I got Mr. Dance of Blades over there. Neat. I also summoned a Siddha to show what they are, and because it's Astral 3. When it leaves this place, it'll be Astral 3. It is also a disgustingly good chassis in general, because, you know, air, astral, teleport, blink, forearm slots. I don't think I need to elaborate on that too much, because if you're watching a what does this mod specifically add rather than a tutorial, you're familiar with thugging, at least somewhat. So we have that going. Now, one of the things we're actually going to want here is, I believe it's Thaumaturgy 8. Yes, the reason I summoned one of those is there's this Attain Moksha spell, which can only be cast by your cap-only mages, your rishis. And with the Celestial Garden up, every single one of them can cast this. Otherwise, you'd have to hope they random astral, but priorities. So basically, every time the caster's killed, they're reborn in the capital as a Siddha, which is this thing. So basically, it turns this monkey right here. I don't know if they keep their magic paths or not, is the only thing. But it basically guarantees that if I fire and forget this man anywhere, he will come back as one of these. And these are also level 3 priests, which, if we were dealing with thrones, I wouldn't need to elaborate on why that is fantastic. Because that means that these can just claim thrones. You don't need to put your god at risk. You don't need to put your prophet, if you've made one, at risk. These ones are not dominion spreaders, though, unlike a prophet. So, you know, manage expectations accordingly. Now, yeah, okay, so it's going to be a couple more turns. We'll be back for that. Yeah. Yeah, so that actually gives a worldwide event if you pop that off. Did not pay attention to that before. Actually, did that even show up for him? Yeah, it does. Okay. Lack of supplies. Fine, get out of there then. But yeah, we'll come back in a few more turns to show off Bandar Ys. And we're back. So we have the city of Bandar Ys. Morgan and Kernu flock. Yeah, that sounds great. It's not as good as it sounds. Because, yes, Bandar Ys shows up, so we have another castle of bronze and crystal here. It does count as a citadel for that stuff. We also now have Bandar Ys, which gives you your full set of regular land stuff. Except it doesn't give swan herds, apparently. But the Morgans that show up are swan knights. They don't get Morbarks. They get these giant face wands. Other than that, though, not a lot's changed. They got glamour. The leaders are sailing and flying. The sailing, I'm pretty sure, is just so they can cross water with their flying. And then the Swan Knights. They still have that magic golden lance. They are still elves without the iron vulnerability, which is pretty nice. But yeah, so you don't get access to the coastal Swan Boys here. That's, if I had to guess, they just missed that. But yeah, so this is basically how you get a second capital-ish. I say capital-ish because your stuff from there will never be as good. Again, Swan Knights are great. They are, you know, flying cavalry with a magic attack. But you don't have a good captain for them. Like, the closest you've got is these Kurno chieftains. So you don't get, like, if you want formations of them, you'll have to pull up at minimum a knight commander from underwater. Because the Swan Knight champions still only have 40 leadership. But, you know, hey, you have giant swan flying cav with magic attacks that can hit back ranks. Which is not something to sneeze at. It's just, you know, no more bark. none of this disgustingness. But, you know, still has still lance charging air cav with all the nice stuff that comes with that. All right. Yeah, that's another thing that Dominions Enhanced does, is it takes a lot of the relics and actually pushes them back to at least some of the weaker ones like that, like the Dom5, and actually bumps them up to level 6 construction, so you don't have to go all the way to 8 for them, like the Immaculate Shield. You know, shield, the full Dawn sets in there. Staff of Annihilation, Oath Rod of Kurgi, Corrupt's Bracers, you know, stuff like that. It's all at construction 6. I don't know if they changed too much of that. I should actually demonstrate some of the summons too. So you've seen the Swan Knights. Swan Knights are exactly the same whether they're summoned or that. You could call Blessed Swans. They're a lot like the regular swans your swan herd summon for chaff, except they have awe, which is kind of ridiculous, but it's a thing. Swan Maze, I'm actually going to go ahead and summon one because they are actually decent mages. Can I cast that underwater? I don't think I can. Not underwater. Yeah, it has to be, yeah, cannot be cast underwater. Alright, so once he's got that temple up, so I can actually, you know, recruit some of this crap up here, we'll be in business there. But yeah, Bandar Ys was founded. Bandar Ys exists. I don't think you get the Kerno and whatnot stuff if you take it as them. I think it counts like a capital one like that, but yeah, so like, yeah, there are still plenty of unique magic artifacts, and some of them quite new. Instant Labs, Seal of Solomon, which, yes, gives you the Ritual of 5 Gates that you can just spam with it, and gives the Smite Demon spell auto. It is tainted, though, so, you know, whatever. Things, Amulet of Power. Like, again, there's a lot of unique stuff. A few uniques for Bandar Log, the Padma Lotus Blossom, Extra Magic Reason, Spirit Sight, and then this Shanka is a Divine Blessed Conch. I haven't checked, actually. I'm going to go ahead and check, because again, with Dominions Enhanced, some of the relics are level 6 in construction and not level 8. So I'm going to forge that real quick to check if it's a relic or not. Because if it's not, that could be dangerous. Because you have a lot of sacred summons. I just find Bandar Log interesting because a lot of their summons are like both from the age before and the age after kinds of stuff. There's also a bunch of new summons with this. Actually, I've never cast that yet, so we'll see how that looks. But right now, Forge. Okay, so those are not relics. So yeah, that is I think all you need is a Yakshini for that. Yeah, you get one of your water random Rishis to cast summon Yakshini, and then the Yakshinis can forge this. And that's disgusting, because that's just a start of battle Divine Blessing. So really, you can get quite scary. Which, again, you know, like, all of your summons are sacred. Like, all of your astral summons, at least, are sacred. You know, well, level 3 priest, of course it's sacred, but you have a lot of highly powerful magic summons that you can super stack with this. Like, and that's just how Bandar Log would be playing anyway, just cranked up to 11. You know, the Staff of Gaia, +4 strength on these boys, bump him up to 19. and see what it'd do with this Iron Cudgel. And even the, you know, the mace backup for the archers. But yeah, I need to stop summoning. I can stop contacting Debug Sensei now. I have enough. I have more than enough. I have too many already, so cease. On top of my spamming Rishis. But that's neither here nor there. We've hit Thaumaturgy 8, so yeah, I could go ahead, cast Ritual Spell on him. Cast Attain Moksha. I just have to remember that I've cast it on him. Which is easier said than done. Aw, this got mold evented. Boo. Oh well. We're going to take that, and we're actually going to have Mr. Attain Moksha throw himself at him and just wipe himself out. Yeah, that's the other thing, though, is recruitment points, they're fucking expensive. 78 recruitment points, yeesh. But they are not as resource intensive by a wide margin as the Morvarks. And, you know, hey. Flying elf thug. With no boots, but flying elf thug. You know, just, it is as disgusting as it sounds, I promise. Yes, but now with that up, you can summon a Swan Mace. We can show that off. Swan Mace aren't bad. What other conjuration stuff do I have further down the line? Yeah, Binding Corrigans, which are interesting. The group Swan, Samhain, summoning the Horned One. So not a lot going on there. I don't really want to do too much templing because, you know, Dominion shenanigans aren't really what I'm looking for right now. Okay, so we cast Brew Gandapara Wine, which immediately gives me this Asurenda Commander. I haven't cast this before, so this is nice. Which is already starts quite nice. Has a Magic Serpent. Yeah, sure is. Surendras, excuse me. Divines, lives on slower slopes, Maclisa. So these cause unrest, but get into a fight, angry with everyone, unable to remain calm. And yeah, so they've got, you know, the commander is, you know, 2 nature, 3 fire, which is nice. That's like your only fire access with these guys, actually. Decent resistances, berserkers, 4 attacks, base, death poison serpent, including throwing fire. Decent stats base. Yeah, because they've got 11 nat proc plus their armor. So they've got these Kala Kanjakas. Yeah, I was trying to say that 5 times fast. But, you know, with full kit, you know, once again, decent stats. They are magic beings like everything, but then you have the regular Shuras. These I've summoned, which you've got 4 falchion attacks. So, basically, Brew Gandapara Wine only if you're fire and forgetting. Because, yeah. Oh, yeah, and they're undisciplined. But, at least those are. Yeah, the regular ones aren't. That's kind of funny, actually. So we stick them there. Now they're only at -1 because his morale is not great. Well, not his morale, his leadership. That said, you know. Ah, yes, they had some stuff like that, like Purge Undead. Yep. Permanently slay even immortal undead. And it can be resisted. But, yeah. Like, you've got a decent amount of stuff with this. You know, you've got your standards. Storm of Thorns, Pillar of Fire, your summons, your buffs. he can do a fair bit there. And of course, you know, you have a blender frontline when you cast that. Downside is, yeah, all that tanks your unrest, like you would not believe. So yes, this Amura, it says mummify. I guess the mummy form of it is the Siddha. So we're gonna go test that real quick. So we'll be right back for that. Actually, we're not, because I forgot I was also doing stuff. I was being useful both turns. So yeah, the Swan May as a summon. I think there's a random here. I'd have to I'll summon a couple more just to make sure on that, but I think there's a question mark there. Call another Swan May, but yeah, Swan May, air, water, bit of astral, at least in this case, and can change shape. Loses, basically when it's a swan, it loses one path in everything that isn't air, but gains a path in air. So now it can Thunderstrike. Of course, since that's the lower health form, when it dies, it would turn to this, which it also loses its priestly powers as a swan, which I guess makes sense. Yes, we'll go ahead and hit that. Hit host, because those don't take a long time if you're not. Okay, no, so it is fixed, or just really bad random, at that set, which is not bad. So yeah, we got the Rishi coming in. I didn't realize that was a Well of Pestilence balls. And we are actually going to... You're floating, though. Okay, I guess not. And because the whole point of this is to get rid of you, we're just going to set you to attack. Actually, that should sort itself out regardless. So let me just make sure I PD'd that. Yeah, that should sort itself if he's not casting magic. Yep. Ezamura the Siddha. Yep. Madeline Ostermark, where he died instantly, because, you know, those are trash. Okay, so when you do it that... So when you have one respawn as a Siddha, it'll keep its paths and not gain the paths of the summon Siddhas. So there is a reason to, yeah, and this doesn't count as undead, so it keeps that mummify for Attain Moksha. Alright, that's disgusting. And dangerous. But, so we have that Siddha, and we have the natural Siddha. The natural Siddhas get Divine Bless. These ones do not, but they keep their paths and, you know, get the chassis. So it's basically a conversion from one of these guys to the new chassis. Of course, you have to watch for that crap. However, one of the other nice things that is added is, as a nice thing for that, well, one, this, the ability to get rid of death gems. It will kill the caster, but if you have divine nature or just make a profit out of it, there you go. But yeah, you've got like Heal Mind, which is nice. If you've got the astral in nature for it, which you do as these guys. So actually going Transfer Mind or something. Oh no, not that one. The Transform is the spell I'm thinking of. The one that turns them into a creature. Where is that? Alteration, maybe? It's not the Create Familiar. Create Seeking Ichor is nice, though. But yeah, because you can get rid of the downsides of... Yeah, Transformation. There we are. Forms into a young monster, but lost limbs are still lost. Chance of failure 20%, blah, blah, blah. Basically, there is a chance that they get feeble-minded, and they can turn into a feeble-minded foul spawn out of that. Well, you can heal mind. You have the pass for that. But another thing they have is, where is it? Yeah, Brew Panacea. Has to be cast on someone else, unfortunately, so he wouldn't do it. But we'll have, Or not. That was that. So we should be able to brew Panacea on Amura, but apparently not. Unless I misread how that spell works, but stolen, yeah. Full month brewing single dose to cure all bodily and mental ills. Yeah. Zen healing will not affect lifeless or undead, but it's not lifeless or undead, so I don't know. Could also just say screw it. No, where is well, Miracle Cure All Elixir wouldn't work here because it's not a disease, it's just what it is. But there are items that give recuperation that you can slap on there. You know, it's not the end of the world if you have that crap. So yeah, and like as you can see here, there's no unique artifacts that are one-handed. There are some that are like, you know, the staffs of the Frost and Fire Kings, Crozier of the Underworld, which, you know, 15 invuln for your entire army ain't bad. Forging Flesh, which, you know, resistance to everything, and also acts as a firebrand, a two-handed firebrand. There's Caldabog, which only a 6 can hold because it's dummy strong. Yeah. They give Dome of Flaming Death. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that's base. That seems new to me anyway. Helm of Kysandrel, the First Crown. You know, you got your list. They also give, this is another new item that I really like, the Crystal Mask. Which is basically, functionally, does the same thing as Crystal Shield, only it doesn't add all that encumbrance. And can be used by mounted commanders. The trade-off is, and it's actually cheaper, so, you know, I don't know why you'd use Crystal Shields if you're in Dominions Enhanced, at least. Another really nice thing it added in terms of the forging, plate armor of earth power. It is okay armor, not, you know, it's not armor of the knights, but it also acts as a girdle of giant strength, the reinvigoration and the strength buff. And since it's magic, it doesn't really hit fatigue much. Self-trample, Caius the Druid, Tree Stride Boots, which lets you do the travel 6 provinces jump. But yeah, so this is a basic overview of what it's done and what it's done for these factions in particular. Again, by the time you get to like the lower ones, it's mostly, I'll summon a Dvala just to be sure because I haven't, but most of those are, even if they don't count as unique, though I'm pretty sure they do, it's mostly just I want Pretender chassis is basically all it does. Yep, that Rishi killed itself to confirm that. And we have the, you know, the Bandar Ys set here. They had a bit of a later start, so I have to double check if there's more stuff to show. Not really, because that's just the Horned One chassis, that Titan chassis. That's a lot of these are like, where is it? Yeah, the Father of Winters. Yeah, it's summoning the Father of Winters chassis. They have some base stuff, but it's not that much. You know, Drown Battlefield. Fate of the Corruptor is basically if somebody's cast Astral Corruption, owner of the Astral Corruption enchantment and their allies will find the eyes. Basically, it's super horror marks at anyone who's cast Astral Corruption. So it's basically the know you or right back at you of to counter that. Solomon's Demise is nice if you're dealing with blood nations. It's a counter blood. Like, they've given them ways. Like, Astral is a counter to blood now. At least it can be. If you don't have Void Sanity, yeah. So you can do, like, there's a lot of stuff you can do. Apotheosis, which basically lets one of your people act as proxy, and can be called back. So it gives you basically an extra god running around, which is nice, and is available to fire and nature and astral. Can all do that. But yeah, not a lot else going on here. I'll call some Blessed Swans to demonstrate what they are. Might as well. And that's the thing. Swan Maze can summon other Swan Maze if you have the gems. I do, because I have Super Wish bullshit going on, so I have the gems to do this. It's also why I gave myself the Visual Sights Basic for this series. And we need to get you out of there. But yeah. I'll just pull those up real quick. Yeah, construction's at level 8, so if it exists, I can forge it. Yeah, so these guys don't have as much in terms of unique items, because they don't really need it. They have access to a bunch of the elf stuff. You know. Well, there wasn't that much that's, like, unique to them. It's just, you know, they have the paths for it. Got dancing shields, you know, Cauldron of the Elves. Like, the only really restricted thing that I'm aware of is the Morgan crystals. But other than that, there's not a lot going on for them in terms of magic items. Sharpest Tooth, the Axis of Rulership, you know, it's Twin Spear. Yeah. I don't see the other Twin Spear, actually. Oh, it's up there. Okay. It's the one that's unadjusted. I wonder how they adjusted that one. Oh, well. It's an extra command 50. Both of them do, okay. But it's not undead command. That's kind of a... yeah, whatever. Yeah, nothing terribly nuts. Yeah, giant sword, which is an AoE 1 regular sword if all you have is earth. But you need to be size 4 to use it, so hey. Like, it's just, there's a lot of stuff in here that you can do. And that's why I wanted to make a point of just demonstrating. This, obviously, there's not as much stuff as a, okay, we also have, yeah. So these are your blessed swans. They're sacred, they have awe, need not eat, undisciplined, can't patrol. Yeah, patrol strength minus 0.1. But, you know, they're fairly easy to swarm for their cost. Because, you know, it's 5 astral gems for, it's half a gem per swan with awe. And really all they're doing is tarp hitting anyway. So, useful unit. But yeah, that's it for the specifics of what was added for Ys and Bandar Ys. And Devala. Let's take a look. Okay, so the Devala is, wow. Yeah. Constantly blessed, Dominion Spreader, magic weapons, inspirational. Well, the inspirational comes from the fact that she's blessed. Same with the magic weapons, yeah. Resistance, extra defense, yeah. A little bit extra. But Astral 4, Priest 4. out the gate. So if you gave her the shield, she would be super strong. This is actually a good time to talk about. So yeah, as you can see, there's actually a lot more spells out here. So in addition to adjusting your banish and smite spell, there's also like a specific like Thirst of the Heathens for sacreds. Affects gods and sacreds, doesn't affect undead and animate, but it's a desessitation for water. You also get a prayer of for that, like so for water it's cold resistance, for earth it's reinvigoration. Guess which one I like more. Yeah, 4, so you can pop anoint with oils, make them sacred. You got Slowing Scourge, which is extra for demons. Like, and that's level 2. So, like, they give you a few extra spells around. She can pop Fanaticism, which is nice. And yeah, give her the shield. She can either do, she can do Divine Channeling and Wrath. Though, not sure you'd want to, really, because that Divine Wrath is, well, it hits everybody that isn't sacred. Which, if all you have is sacreds, and, you know, honestly, as Bandar Log, that's not a far-fetched situation by any means, given, you know, all of your summons basically are sacred. The reason I didn't do too many of the summons for Bandar Log is because, yeah, basically, you know, you've got a few. You've got the Ashuras, which I showed off. You've got Temple Guards, which are white tigers, which are tigers, but they're sacred. I don't remember them being any different. You've got, you know, the Ashuras, which we showcased from the Gandapara wine. Pretas I haven't looked at, but then you got Yavanna Charioteers, which are actually pretty nice. They've got 2 arrow attacks and are trampling chariots. They're also sacred, standard magic beings. Garudas I've done before. I might as well just showcase them. Just because I've done them doesn't mean you have. Actually, you probably haven't, given that this is, you know, here's all the stuff that Dominions Enhanced adds. Did Brute Gandapara, Summon Davala. We can't do this spell, unfortunately, on this map, because, yeah. Shesanaga. It's basically another Titan spell, level spell. Yeah. Another unique, like, again. So many of these are just, you know. Yeah, Wendigo is unique. A lot of these are unique, but they're powerful stuff. But yeah, it's stuff like that. It goes. Yeah, you know, like kind of Paragoros, where to bend flames burning within friendly dominion to his will. Yep. Yeah, so it gives your, like, there's stuff like that. It gives your god. Yeah, you know, Lord of the Seasons, which basically he turns into all of the, yeah, the Lion of Summer, Hawk of Spring, Bear of Autumn, Wolf of Winter. Basically, it's all 4 of them in one, depending on what season it is. Which is kind of disgusting. But again, buff to your Bless, and then, you know, Fire Elementals attack enemies, extra 50% chance in Heat 2+, and 2% chance to create a Flame Spirit Commander to appear in capital all the time. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. Whispering Winds is another one. This is a disgusting spell. If you have access to it, you need a level 6 Air Mage, which basically gods are your best bet for this, but provinces containing researching magic mages gain magic scales. Friendly air mages may gain extra air path as a random event. Unrest decreased, and sylphs appear hidden in enemy provinces under your dominion. Which sylphs are air mages. They can also have a chance to gain air 1. The disgusting part that isn't covered in this is that gaining air 1 air isn't just a, oh, the spell's happened, maybe you get it. It's a, no, every turn it runs a check with a low chance of success, mind you. Pretty low chance. But if it passes, you're now permanently +1 in air. The thing is, that random event can hit the same commander multiple times. Meaning, you can get... I did it as Bitrios, for example, in a regular campaign where I'm actually Dom killing everyone. But because of it, I have Air 5 Stormcallers walking around. Just because of how that event procced. And because I have a crap ton of Stormcallers. But, like, you can get... Sylphs can get up to Air 3 just scouting for you. Like, it is disgusting. This is a disgusting spell. If it happens, find whoever cast it, kill them. No questions. Otherwise, they will eventually become a nightmare to deal with. Because, you know, they'll be able to throw around all the high-level air crap all the time. This one I actually don't know if it's new or not. I'd have to check. I'm assuming not, since it's, you know, in level 0 right now, when it's a level 9 normally. But yeah, you also have things like Samsara, which gives reincarnation to basically your Kinaras and other commanders is what I'm thinking of. Because all your regular commanders already have reincarnation, so Samsara doesn't benefit them. And they don't get air, so they can't cast it anyway. It's really useful for giving like the Kinaras over here reincarnation. But yeah, I'm trying to think other than that. There's not a whole lot more to cover with what's been done. Yeah, have all the... Yeah, because the Nagarishi's not new, but it's, you know... Hey, here's your late age stuff. Remember that? I just think that's a neat thing that they get. But yeah, your White Tigers, yeah. Bite, Claw. 23 hit points, which is nice. But, you know, Sacred, Stealthy, have perfect dark vision. Yeah, and they're actually disciplined. So there is that. And then these Garudas, they're Sacred, they have Awe, they're magic, they've got Storm immunity and shock resistance. They're basically Kylans. Not to put too fine a point on it, but they are basically Spire Clan. Set with swords, shields, and helmets, but no torso armor. But they do have 6 Naproc. And, you know, 2 attacks per. Though they are size 3, so the attack density is the same as regular infantry. That said, your Bandar warriors are also size 3, so... You know. Makes my standard expansion tactic as them actually very dangerous. Oh yeah, we can actually watch that. I don't know if it adds magic sites or not. I don't know if these are new or not. I don't play enough to know. I don't think so, though. Shrine of the Outcast. Priests can spam Foul Spawn. Like, but yeah, these guys are actually exactly as disgusting as you'd expect. Because they berserk, they attack, they, you know, have the 4 attacks per turn. Like, yeah, they're size 4. You can actually mix a regular monkey in there too, but like, boom. Oh no, you've attacked me. Now I'm berserk. Let me just blender you. 'Cause, 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 It's basically every time they attack, the square they attack just kind of poof. Yep. Got the commander. Also, those ones at least strike fear. These ones don't, but... But yeah, that's just the kind of crap you do with Gajapara wine in this case, is the real thing there. That and the Ashuras. Yeah, Gandhapara is the only way to get the Kalakanjakas and the Asurenda, but debatably worth. I say debatably because you can still see the just train of unrest that this causes. Like, massing Ashuras is tricky. I would recommend high order scales if you're going to go down that line, but like having a few of them around is just a softener. Not a bad call. With 4 attacks per, and yeah, they're kind of disgusting. So if you need to soften stuff up, summoning a few of those with the army might be recommended. But, and, you know, casting Brugandapara wine at least once isn't a bad call by any means, because that is your only fire access. So if you want fire for any particular reason, you know, summoning, I don't know, fire drakes or something. Or hellhounds. Hellhounds are actually pretty good. Hounds, you know, sure you can summon flying ants because why not? That, you know, you could summon heroes with it. You'd need a buff to do this, but, you know. Yeah, you can summon dragons at level 7. Which is kind of ridiculous. You know, fire elemental summons, which are a good counter to you normally, but, you know. So now this thing, fuel the fire. Boom. It's a fire access reinvigoration. Full. Smoke warriors, basically there's a mix for all the elementals. There's a mix in between points. I say all, but I think that's the only one for fire. I go water. Well, you go earth. Like, you know, you got magma warriors. Dude, cave grubs, cave crabs, fall bears. You know, living magma. Summon a bunch of them. Water. Yeah. I don't really need to cover. You got mud warriors there, and then air. You've got mist warriors, which for that set. But you know, you got options. Night gaunts are interesting. I've only seen them a couple times. I haven't really messed with them, but they're interesting. That said, this is more of a overview. They had a ton of stuff for forging. They had a ton of stuff for, you know, general spells for everyone. And then they added, as I'm sure you've noticed, a crap ton of national spells for every nation. And I'm actually going to double check real quick that one spell exists. We'll be right back. Okay, so that one evocation ritual is new for Bandar Log, because I'm over here now and I'm not seeing it on my base game. Just going over what it is. So, like, yeah, all the Naga stuff isn't new, but it never was. It's just kind of their thing, is they get to call their old and new stuff. So the Dvala probably just got a gem change. That's why it was in a different spot. But yeah, those other ones were new. few new things. But yeah, it looks like that one conjuration spell, or not conjuration, sorry, evocation. This is new, and it's level 9 normally, but apparently debug picked it up and put it in 0. I guess maybe the spell ID was already in use and they just pulled it up, but yeah, this is nuts. Province set to death scale 3 for a full year. 15 AP fire damage to half the army and province. Kills 40% of the population. Unrest plus 40. 5 nature, 3 astral. That's kinda nuts. I wonder why it's all the way up here though, if it's new. Oh well, and I'm pretty sure some of these are not new. But yeah, it adds a bunch of spells. Adjusts the costs of a bunch of spells, I think. Yeah, so let's look at the Davala on here. Yeah, the Devada's not changed. The Rudra's normal. But the Davala's all the way down here. Doesn't look to have changed. Huh. I wonder why that unshook it then. Maybe the units changed, so that could be it. Oh well. But yeah, that's some of what's added. The TLDR for a lot of these is going to be new spells, new summons for a lot of people. Access to your Titans as summons. And, you know, wider AoE Sailor's Death for water nations. Though only some of them can use it, because not all of them have air natively. Ys does, which is nice for them. Oceania does, which is nice for them. But Pelagia, well, your Diducos in the Middle Age get access to it. But Pelagia, not a lot of air. Atlantis, not a lot of air. Don't think Atlantis gets air at any point. But yeah, so they kind of lose out on that. But they have their own sets. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you liked about this, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. And thank you so much for watching. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.